Yo, welcome back to the channel. Big video today. The life of Isildur. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. We're on the road to 300 subscribers. Thank you so much for 250 subscribers. Expect the Hobbit movie sometime early next month. The full reaction will be on my Patreon, uncut. You guys get to see everything on the Patreon. Non-copyrighted reaction will be on my YouTube. So the full, much better reaction will be on my Patreon. Go check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. Also, go check out History of the Ages, one of the best channels on YouTube. Really appreciate if all you guys could go check them out. Most of you probably have 313,000 subscribers. Them guys are, doing amazing. All right, let's do this. The life of Isildur. Let's go.
Moment when it was in this moment when all hope had faded that Isildur, son of the king, took up his father's sword.
Isildur is mainly known for being the man that cut the One Ring from the finger of Sauron himself. He is also notable for being one of the men that founded Gondor and Arnor, along with his brother and his father. But there is much more to Isildur's life than just these two achievements, and with it being extremely likely that Isildur will feature heavily throughout Amazon Prime's Lord of the Rings show, we thought it would be a great time to take a deep look into this character's life.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
I think he will as well.
So Isildur was born in Númenor in the year 3209 of the Second Age. His younger brother Anarion was born 10 years later. Their father was of course the great Elendil. To truly understand many moments from Isildur's life, we must look back further to the start of the Númenorian line. So in case you are not aware, Elros Half-Elven was the first king of Númenor all the way back in the year 32 of the Second Age. He was half-elven, so had the ability to choose between the life of men and elves. He chose men. His brother Elrond chose the life of an elf.
So cool.
Over the years, the later kings of Númenor began to resent their ancestors' decision to live as a mortal and desired the power of immortality for themselves. Because of this, they then distanced themselves from elves and the Valar and neglected to worship Eru Ilúvatar. A small group of Númenorians, however, remained friends with the elves and stayed faithful to Eru and the Valar. They were called, quite simply, the Faithful. In the year 3262 of the Second Age, Alpharazon, the king of Númenor, had been corrupted by Sauron. He used the king's desire for power and immortality to convince him to worship Morgoth. Soon after, Isildur had learned that Sauron wanted Alpharazon to cut down Nimloth, which was the white tree that had been brought from the Undying Lands. To prevent this tragedy from happening, he disguised himself and broke into the king's court and took a fruit from the tree. However, it did not go as planned and he was discovered by the guards, who attacked him and injured him badly. Barely managing to escape with his life, he left with the fruit intact. For his brave actions, Isildur received great praise from the other faithfuls. However, he was close to death for many months due to the injuries he had sustained. But after the fruit of the white tree began to sprout, he awoke and recovered. Then over the years that followed, Sauron's influence was slowly increasing. The faithful had decided because of this, they would leave Númenor. They packed their ships with their families and all their prized possessions. The Palantir were actually among these, as was the seedling of the white tree. Isildur boarded with his wife and his first son, Elendil. Isildur's grandfather, Amandil, sailed westward towards Valinor with the hope that he would be able to convince the Valar to spare the faithful. He was then never seen or heard from again. In the year 3319 of the Second Age, Sauron's lies had finally managed to convince Alpharazon that he could achieve what he was seeking, immortality, in the Undying Lands. So Alpharazon, who was now approaching old age, decided to take an army to the Undying Lands and take immortality.
Every time I hear this, it just annoys me.
However, this backfired and Eru caused the seas to open, hiding Valinor and sinking Númenor to the ground for good.
It just hurts.
Fortunately, the ships of the faithful were spared, and it's said that a great wind from the west sent them to Middle-earth. Elendil and his sons established the North Kingdom of Arnor and the Southern Kingdom of Gondor in 3320. Elendil was the High King of both realms, but he ruled from Arnor and left the rule of Gondor to Isildur and Anarion. Isildur then decided to build his home in the Valley of the Mountains of Shadow, just on the border of Mordor. It was named Minas Ithil. It was a beautiful city and became the stronghold to defend against the evil that was dwelling in Mordor. It was not known by the surviving Númenóreans at this time that Sauron had actually survived and returned to Mordor to rebuild his strength. So over the following years, Isildur used his Palantir to communicate with his brother, who was in Minas Anor, and his father in Arnor. And over the next few years, Isildur had more sons, Aratan and Cirion. Still in the early days of Gondor, Isildur travelled to the Hill of Eric, at the entrance of the Blackroot Vale. On the top of the hill he placed the Stone of Eric, which was a black stone that he had brought from Númenor. He then met with the King of the Dead, who swore his allegiance to Isildur on the stone. But much later, when Isildur had called upon him to fight against Sauron, the king and his army refused, and so Isildur cursed them, saying that they would not rest until they fulfilled their oath. In 3429, Sauron had then built enough strength to attack and capture Minas Ithil. Isildur and his family managed to escape, and took with them another seedling of the White Tree. They sailed to Arnor to speak with Elendil. Elendil then consulted with his friend Gil-galad, the last High King of the Noldor, who resided in Lindon, west of Arnor. Together, they formed the last alliance of elves and men, an alliance that was made in the year 3420 to oppose Sauron. In the same year, Isildur's youngest son Valandil was born in Rivendell. So the great army of elves and men met in Rivendell in 3431 and marched to war together. Isildur and his 3 firstborn sons, Elendil, Aratan and Cirion, went with the great army, but his wife and newborn son Valandil remained in Rivendell. The war officially began in 3434, and the alliance defeated Sauron's forces in the Battle of Dagorlad on the plain outside Mordor. They then entered Sauron's realm and laid siege to Barad-dûr. This siege lasted an insane 7 years, and huge numbers of lives were lost on all sides, including Anarion, Isildur's brother, who died in 3440.
Damn.
The following year, Sauron himself had finally decided to join the battle. He fought with Elendil and Gil-galad. Both fought well, but were ultimately killed. Elendil's great sword Narsil had broke beneath him upon his fall. Isildur took up the hilt of the broken sword and used it to cut the ring from Sauron's hand. In awe of the ring's beauty, Isildur decided to keep it for himself, ignoring the warnings that came from Elrond and Círdan.
Destroy it!
No. You can all be mad with Isildur, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the Lord of the Rings movies. Think about it. Think about it. Shout out to Isildur, man. He knew what he was doing. He thought it was evil, but it was actually... well, it was incredibly stupid, but, you know, for entertainment purposes, that's my man right there. No. That's my ring. He should have
After
just
the battle,
drop-kicked him in there.
Soon after, so soon in fact that the writing on the ring was still visible due to the heat from Sauron's hand, Isildur wrote an account on the ring and its properties. He noted that the ring was hot, and its markings seemed to fade as it cooled. It also seemed to shrink as the heat wore off. He theorized that heating the ring may make the markings visible again, but he was already so obsessed with the ring that he refused to take any action that may bring it harm. Isildur soon returned to Gondor and Arnor to assume its kingship. He had been mentoring Anarion's son Menaldil on the duties of a king and intended to leave the rule of Gondor to him. Then on the 5th of September, in the second year of the Third Age, Isildur set out from Minas Anor with his 3 eldest sons and the company of knights. He actually planted the seedling of the White Tree before he left. So he had intended to deliver the One Ring to Elrond, as suggested by his eldest son and confidant Elendil. Around 1 month into their journey, they were attacked by a group of orcs. These orcs were actually unaware of the ring's presence, but were unwittingly drawn to its power. The men were massively outnumbered and were unable to last the assault. But just before the battle had begun, Isildur sent one of his men away with the shards of Narsil, his father's broken sword. He chose to keep the ring for himself. During the battle, Cirion was killed and Aratan was mortally wounded. Elendil then begged Isildur to flee in order to prevent the rings from gaining possession of the One Ring. Sadly, he agreed. Elendil was slain leading the remaining of the Dunedain. So Isildur removed his armour, put on the One Ring and attempted to cross the river. But the ring left Isildur's finger and fell deep into the water. Initially he was overcome with a sense of loss, but before long felt a great burden had been lifted from his shoulders. He eventually came out of the water, but was spotted by orcs and killed with arrows. Isildur's youngest son Valandil became the king of Arnor when he turned 10. but he did not claim
No
kingship
pressure.
of Gondor, and so the two kingdoms became separated. Gondor was ruled by the heirs of Anarion, and Arnor by the heirs of Isildur. It would not be until the end of the Third Age, when Aragorn was made king, that he would reunite the two kingdoms. And it was actually during King Elisar's reign that the evidence for the full story of Isildur's life and death was finally uncovered. So there we have it, that was the life of Isildur. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Would you like to see similar videos on perhaps Elendil and Anarion? Let us know.
Yeah. The more the merrier, mate. That was amazing. Oh my god. Honestly, all you know of Isildur if you haven't read the books is that he's a bit of an idiot. Someone in the comments was like, I hate that everyone thinks Isildur wasn't, you know, a clever person and a brave warrior, which he really was. And if it wasn't for him, a lot would be different regarding the history of Middle-earth, in my opinion. Well, it's not even an opinion, it's a fact, right? Man, so cool. I can't wait. This makes me really, really excited for the Amazon show, man. The Lord of the Rings. It needs a name, man. What are we going to call it? Chat, comment down below what we should just have like a code word for, right? I'm going to go with the Lord of the Ages. We'll go with that for now. How about that? The Lords of the Second Age. There we go. So that's going to be our code word. Instead of just calling it the Amazon show, it just doesn't have a ring to it, you know? So yeah, I think he'll be the main character in the Lords of the Second Age. Man, that really does sound good. You know, maybe I should work for Amazon. Anyway, let's read the comments. Well, they weren't called Army of the Dead at the time. They made the promise. Right? That's what I was thinking. The Men of the Mountain at the time, and certainly they were very much alive. Yes, Elendil has a very interesting story that deserves to be told. I would also like to know more about his Anarion. And what I was wondering was what happened to Isildur's wife. Maybe I missed it. I think Isildur would have ended up as a Nazgul in the end, probably waging war against elves. What? With the One Ring. Damn. Yeah. Interesting. Imagine being the most cunning, devious, and conniving person in the entire world, and then sticking your finger to the one thing that will kill you. Could have phrased it better, mate. I'd really like to know more about Elendil, with his exploits and life in Numenor and so on. I'm also wondering why Aragorn yells his name several times in Lord of the Rings. Regarding this video, are there any details? See, this is it. Because of how quickly he was corrupted by the ring, I never thought much of Isildur. But this really brought him to life for me. Thanks for the content. Really, really good. Little extra note. A night before Numenor submerged into the oceans, Isildur cloaked, stole the seedling from the OG White Tree to be... Yeah, he said that, mate. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. That was really, really good. Let me know in the comments down below what you want me to react to next. And yeah, I really, really appreciate you all. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time for more Lord of the Rings content. Peace out. God bless. Take care. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate your time. Please hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. It's so simple. Just click the red button. And follow all my socials. I stream daily on twitch.tv/OmarioRpg as well. And if you want to support the channel further, the link is in the description to tip the channel. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Peace out. God bless. And take care.